Now, Friday marks, would you believe, the first anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's death. And I'm joined now by Ailsa Anderson, former press secretary to Her late Majesty. Ailsa, lovely to see you this morning. I can't believe it's been a year.
I can't. It's gone slowly and yet it's raced past. I cannot believe it. If you think this time last year, when obviously we saw those images of the Queen looking frail, and then, of course, then it happened.
No, although that last image of her working 2 days before she passed away, a remarkable woman. In a way, I think the transition has actually been much smoother than I had anticipated. Whenever I've been doing this job, and I've been doing it for quite a long time with regard to reporting on the royals, I've always thought that the nation would have some kind of collective nervous breakdown when the Queen died. And actually, to be fair to the King and Queen Camilla, I think it's gone all right the last 12 months, notwithstanding some Harry issues, which we'll get onto. But what's your analysis?
I completely agree. I think it's sort of keep calm and carry on.
Yeah.
It's been a slow transition. I thought the King's state visit to Germany was absolutely faultless.
Yes.
How he spoke in German, his sense of humour, his warmth, his great intellect came through. So I really do think it's a slow transition, but it's been faultless.
And Queen Camilla, I mean, in a way, did she make a rod for her own back with this kind of insistence that we drop the consort and call her the Queen? Not everyone is comfortable with that term when applied to Camilla.
I think it's the right decision. She is the Queen. She is, and she is his consort. And I think people don't talk about it anymore. Maybe at the beginning when it was announced, but now people are just taking it as the norm. She is the Queen. And
what was interesting about the coronation, I thought, is how much she put her own stamp on that ceremony.
Yeah.
I mean, the Archbishop of Canterbury, who I know you also used to work for back in
did.
the day, crowning them both alongside each other, them both appearing on the balcony. He's with his family, she's with hers. She insisted that her side of the family, her sister and her nieces and nephews, were present for that moment. And we know that not many non-royals ever appear on the balcony. What's the last example? I suppose Winston Churchill. So that was significant too. Do we think that the Queen is really ruling the roost, or is the King very much in command?
I wouldn't say that. I think she is an absolutely crucial support role for him. And I think the balcony and the combined families is modern Britain. You know, what family do you not know? You know, I'm one of them.
Blended families.
Blended, absolutely. So they are actually representing what modern Britain is today.
But is it problematic for them that they're in their 70s? They've got this huge workload. There's been a few reports sort of saying, oh, God, they haven't found it as easy. I mean, there's talk that the Commonwealth heads of government, I think, is going to be in Samoa or somewhere miles and miles away. It's not like when the Queen took the throne at 25 and could jet around the world for months on end. I mean, these people are working well beyond retirement age. And also, does that pose a problem for the brand? Because they kind of seem like the sandwich generation between the Queen on the throne for all that time and then, of course, the Prince and Princess of Wales and their youth and vitality, the other side of the coin.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think the programme can be paced to represent their reflective ages. The King is known for having extreme high energy levels. You know, he's a workaholic. So I don't think, just because he's in his 70s, that actually that will affect his pace at all. I think they'll crack on. But
are you worried about the slimmed down nature of things? I mean, Princess Anne expressed some concern that they couldn't slim down any further. I think when the King talked about slimming down the monarchy from a value for money perspective, he wasn't anticipating the absence of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and indeed the absence of his own brother, the Duke of York, from public life. And you look at the balcony now and you think, oh my goodness, it's a bit thin on the ground. And you've got the likes of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, formerly Sophie and Edward Wessex, kind of bringing up the rear, doing jobs. But, you know, it does look a little bit fractured, perhaps, because of Harry and Meghan's absence.
I don't know. I think you could maybe argue that a slimmed-down monarchy is actually more fitting for the 21st century. You know, do you need as many working royals out there with the perception that it's taxpayer money that's funding them? So actually, I think the King is doing the right thing, slimming it down, concentrating on those charities and patronages, which he should do, and going forward in that direction.
Can we have your PR analysis of the state of things with regard to Harry and Meghan? We've gone from the Netflix documentary to Spare, to them being lampooned on South Park and being described as grifters. And we've seen some imagery even today of them at this Beyoncé concert, and Meghan looks very happy. Harry doesn't necessarily, but it could have been just a bad camera angle. I mean, what's your analysis of their popularity versus that of the royals at the moment and where we are with this?
Well, like any good PR professional, I'd advise myself not to get down that rabbit hole at all.
Ailsa, here's the rabbit hole. Imagine yourself as Alice in Wonderland. But seriously, just in terms of OK, let's put it this way. Perhaps we could argue that the royal family have fared extraordinarily well. Mm-hmm. If you think back to Oprah and some of the claims that were made, that actually their popularity appears to be on the rise while Harry and Meghan's has nosedived.
I think, you know, I haven't got a crystal ball. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? He's obviously working very hard on his charities, on the Invictus Games, which has been, you know, a celebrated success. Yeah. You know, I'm the daughter of a military officer. I know what it's like when you're injured in the military and you feel you don't get the support. And I think that is a real, you know, testimony to his passion for the armed forces. He does this year after year after year.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Do the royals have to reconcile with them, do you think, or...?
Well, it's a family. You know, families have disputes. I can't think of one family that doesn't have an up and down.
Yeah, but although unlike the rest of us, they're not plastered across the front pages.
Totally, and it's difficult. And obviously, you know, according to the media, there's a lack of trust between family members now.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer in reconciliation. And who knows, you know, what's going to go on down the track. And you know, there are things that will bring the family together. I mean, obviously, the announcement by the Cabinet Office today that this new memorial for the Queen.
I mean, there's a bit of concern. 2026, is that a bit too far away? I mean, I know it's to mark her what would have been her 100th birthday. But it's like, come on.
But you want to get it right.
Yes.
You know, so it's only 3 years, 2.5 years probably. And you're going to have to consult with the Commonwealth, I would have thought, the realms, public consultation. But I see that Lord Janvrin, Robin Janvrin, who I worked with,
That's
who is
the
an
Queen's
amazing
former private secretary
and former press secretary.
Yes.
He started in the press office. So I can't think of a better person to lead and chair that committee to steer it forward.
What kind of memorial? I mean, what would the late Queen have liked? Because at the end of the day, it seems a funny thing to say about the world's most photographed woman, but she didn't really like a fuss.
No, she didn't. And I think, you know, it's got to be all things to all men and women.
Yeah.
You know, she was the biggest global female superstar in the world, a working woman, a working mother.
Something
she loved
that
the
reflects
countryside.
every aspect of her, then, as both head of state, but also a grandmother, perhaps.
Absolutely. And it's going to be difficult, because you're not going to please everybody.
No,
but,
indeed.
and where will it be? Does it have to be in London? You know, she was the happiest at Windsor. Or
we could have
Scotland.
a series. Ailsa Anderson, thank you very much indeed for your expertise this morning.